everyone. What's up, guys? I am back today with Lexi Short, our amazing resident expert in body image therapy, diet culture. Thank you for being with us, Lexi.
Hi.
So you and Allie are running the body image group at Sanare, and I am hearing such amazing things about it from everyone who's joined. And so I just wanted to come bring our questions to you today because a lot of my clients have the same kind of recurring themes that pop up when we talk with them about food. And there's this interaction that pops up when we're talking about health, where a lot of times people really conflate like their body image and how they feel about their body and their appearance with true health. You see this a lot, and the kind of, how do you guys deal with this in group?
Yeah, so it's all connected, right? Like our body image, how we feel about our bodies, what we're putting into our bodies, our relationship with food. The reason that Allie and I both co-lead this group is because they connect, right? It's really hard to separate struggles and issues with body image from our relationship with food. And there's two things that I think are really important that we tend to touch on is this like health at every size modality, HAZE, if anybody has heard of it. And that's really important to be coming from because it really challenges a lot of what's out there in diet culture, that there's this specific weight and there's this specific body type that determines somebody's health. But there's also a lot of evidence out there that that's not true. And health at every size is really about being able to live in any type of body, knowing that body diversity is out there, knowing that body diversity has always existed and it will always exist, and that that's okay, and that that's important, and that's really important to honor and recognize that you can still care about your health and be in whatever size body naturally you just are in. And so in that, it really helps to heal the relationship with food as well, because if we're not blaming food and what we're eating on our body because we're labeling our body as good or bad or unhealthy, whatever words fit into that dichotomy, we can heal our relationship with food much more easily and much better.
Beautiful. I love it because it's very evidence-based and data-based. And that's a lot of what we're doing in functional medicine is people will come in and say like, I've got a terrible diet, or I don't want to eat bad foods. And we spend a lot of time, and it feels like a lot of time, but just it's a lot of intention saying, what do you mean by that? Because let's look at your lab work. What are we actually seeing here? Where is your body telling us things are out of balance? Where is it telling us things are fine? That's the data. Let's not assume. Like that's not an intelligent thing to do, is to assume. Like let's be real. Let's look. And then let's also look at what you're consuming. So not in terms of like, are you consuming good foods, bad foods? That doesn't exist. What's the data? How much fiber, omega-3s, vitamin C, vitamin E are you getting a day? Because those are going to directly impact your symptoms.
Sure.
Your constipation, your joint pain, your headaches, your fatigue, like the things that actually make you feel uncomfortable in your body. We can fix those with good nutrition, which is completely separate from like what food in particular you're choosing that day. Yeah. How do you see this get in the way for people, and how do you intervene, like particularly when they're trying to maybe get healthier and implement some new dietary routines?
Right. So I really work from an all foods fit mentality. And I know that you really work from like a food is medicine mentality. And within that food is medicine, even though food can be medicine, medicine itself is still not a like one size fits all or a cure all, right? And so if we're recognizing even like pharmaceutical medication is not a cure all,
yeah,
food can also not be a 100% cure all, and therefore it also can't be a 100% blame all, which I think also happens a lot, where people are totally using their food, like their relationship with food and diet and what they're eating, as this like blame all for all of their problems, when in actuality, yeah, from your point of work, like we can look at the micronutrients and what you're putting into your body and seeing like, can we make little adjustments to see if we can shift your experience a little bit? And I would bet that there's so many other aspects out there that are going to really be important to look at and to be willing to dig into and approach with an element of curiosity of like what's happening with your sleep, right? Like what's happening within your relationships. Let's look at what's generating stress in your life. Let's look at your relationship with work and work-life balance, and so on and so forth. It's an endless amount of stuff that we could look into, but that point being really important, that it's not this one thing that's happening that we are either blaming ourselves for or we're putting the blame on.
Yep. I love that. It's not just food, and food is not just medicine. So when people say using food as medicine, a lot of times what we mean is those little slight strategic shifts, right? You're somebody with constipation. You don't want to have constipation anymore. Let's talk about fiber and how that can be like really beautiful and enjoyable. And while we talk about that, we're also going to talk about water and supplements and movement and all the other things you need to get your bowels moving. But food is not just medicine in the sense that like food is also about community and joy and taste. And you need those things to live a full and rich life. And there's a way to do that that's still in alignment with your health goals and that will make you feel like you're thriving. I feel like so often I see people come into the clinic and they are really from this too much mentality where they're just like, I'm eating too much. I'm eating too much. I'm eating too much of the wrong things. We look at their nutrient analysis and I'm like, you are so malnourished. Like, no wonder you don't feel good. You have no magnesium. This is why you are so like anxious and irritable and tense. Like, and it's my job to fix that for them. But the healing really happens for me when they're in front of me, when I see the light bulb go on for them of, oh my God, I've actually been really depriving my body with my mentality of just like really being afraid of food, trying to restrict, trying to stay away. And I have neglected to really focus on like what nourishes me.
Right. Yeah. And it's that element of scarcity and that element of food scarcity, right? Whether it's like actual volume that we're not getting enough of, or whether it's the pieces of food and nutrition that bring us joy and can bring us joy and have the ability to do that. So we talk a lot about like food is about connection. Food can be enjoyable. Food is meant to be enjoyable. I am a foodie, so I feel very strongly about that. And it is so real because we have different types of hunger. And 2 of our 4 types of hunger are taste hunger and emotional hunger, right? And so taste hunger really is that like, what am I in the mood for? Is it something sweet? Is it something salty? Is it something crunchy? Is it something cold or warm? And that is really important because that's a craving, right? And whenever we're depriving our body from fulfilling that type of craving, that deprivation, there's an element of restriction there, right? And so restriction, like I mentioned before, can be like actual physical restriction of volume and being malnourished, or it can be restricting ourselves from foods that maybe we're putting this really negative label on that doesn't need to have that. And so that's why we move from and within that all foods fit mentality, recognizing that it's important to give ourselves the freedom to choose what we want to have. And it also takes away from that urge to binge, because when all foods are on the same playing field and we can recognize and give ourselves the freedom to have access to that at any point in time, the pressure of I have to eat this now, I have to eat all of it now because I don't know when I'll have it again, that goes away.
Yeah. And I think physiologically too, guys, we see a lot of people in our clinic. I'm thinking of one of our special people in particular right now. We just had this conversation where she was like binging at night. It was such a hard cycle for her and she hadn't been able to break it. And she was really, really struggling. And we talked about breakfast and I was like, I like really would encourage you to try eating a whole cup of oatmeal, right? Like pile in the berries and the seeds and the dairy-free milk and like make it delicious with maple syrup and cinnamon. And she was terrified, right? Because of all the negative scripts, like that's too many calories, it's too much food, I'm going to gain weight. And I was so proud of her because she got some help, right, to counter those thoughts. And then she started to trust her body and just try it. And she stopped binging at night because she's actually nourishing herself during the day. She's full and she's like free. And that's the difference, guys. I think a lot of us think that the restriction will keep us safe. right? Like that's what I very clearly hear in the clinic. You're like, well, I can't eat non-organic and I can't eat this and I got to stay healthy and I can't eat that. And when you actually get true nutrition education and truly start to understand how to use food as medicine, and you talk with Lexi and Allie and they're talking to you about intuitive eating and countering diet culture, and you adopt this new way of eating, you're free, you're nourished, you're free, you feel good, you are healthy, you're thriving. It's not that you're going to lose control. Like, it's the complete opposite.
Right. Yep.
What do you tell people when this fear comes up for them? Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we talk about, is like, in this effort to control, we're really losing control. And so by giving ourselves the freedom to actually tap into what we want and what we need, and to be able to bring in and create this element of satisfaction, right? Again, not just actual like being nourished satisfaction and our bodies recognizing like I have what I need to function, but emotionally feeling satisfied by what we're having as well. That strong desire for control to feel safe, again, kind of dissipates, because we're just learning a new way to actually feel safe and to regain and to rebuild that trust.
Yep. 100%. So guys, I mean, this is kind of how this can work hand in hand. If you come to functional medicine, what we can do for you as part of your initial visit package, or if you see Allie or if you see Dr. Anna, is sometimes what a lot of you tell us that you need is, I'm so overwhelmed with food, I don't even know what to pick. Just tell me what to do for a week. We can do that. And a lot of times what that does is it helps your biochemistry reset. It helps give you that aha moment, like we just talked about with that client, where like she trusted us, she did what we said, she stopped binging, and now she's in a completely new space to really trust her body and explore new things. So we can kind of give you that kickstart, but then you guys have to do the hard work with Lexi and Allie to start to dismantle these really unhelpful thought processes that will trip you up. And that will then like cause you to go right back to where you were if you don't work on this thinking. I think a lot of folks, women in particular, like head to your group, they love it. Like they're an easier sell. Can you talk to me for a minute about like the guys out there? Because I think sometimes when I talk to guys about joining the body image group, it's very new for them. They're not used to this type of conversation. How do you talk to people who are in male bodies or who identify as male about body image in a way that resonates with them?
So this might not be the answer you're looking for,
It
but
probably is.
I tend not to approach it in a wildly different way. The
Right.
approach tends to be very, very similar,
Yeah.
where it's like, let's take a look at the relationship, right? Let's look at the relationship with your body. Let's look at the relationship that you have with food, and let's figure out where there feels like there's a sense of dysfunction, where there feels like there's a sense of impairment. What's serving you in a positive way? What's not serving you in a helpful way? And let's look at that and let's target it. So I really don't think it's like a gender thing at all, because we're all human. Diet culture is pervasive everywhere. There might be different messages out there in diet culture that are more geared towards certain folks than others. And we can talk about that. And sometimes that's an element that we do talk about. Although for the most part, it's really about that relationship and whether or not it's helpful and serving you in a positive way. And if it's not, we break that down and we look at what's contributing to that. And then we figure out where to go from there.
Love it. So if you have a body, if you eat food, if you have a body image, you are ready for this group, which is what I was hoping you would say, Lexi. And it's so, so true. So guys, you can try this group, right? You don't have to commit to the whole rest of your life going to this group. Try one session. So Lexi, how do people join the group and get in touch with you if they're interested?
So they can get in touch with me just by like giving me a call or shooting me an email, or Allie as well, since she's my counterpart to the group. So both of us kind of take those referrals hand in hand. Or anybody can go to our Sanare website and call our intake number and let them know that they're interested in body image group. And that doesn't even necessarily mean that they're committing or having to join. But that can just be another modality to get either my or Allie's contact information, and we'll have a conversation about it. And we'll see like, hey, Why does this feel right to you? Where's the interest coming from? Let's talk about it and let's see.
Brilliant. So guys, front desk phone number 610-344-9600, or you can go to sanaretoday.com, which is SANARE today.com, and go to outpatient programming, and you'll find the information for the body image group. I'm going to link it in the description underneath, but go have this conversation. Have a quick conversation that has the potential to really change your life and revolutionize your relationship with your body, where you live 100% of the time, your entire life. There is almost no more important relationship. And really start to set yourself free from the restrictive ideas and unhelpful ideas that are holding you back from true freedom and health. That's what we want for you, true freedom and health. So thank you, Lexi. We'll do another
Thank
one
you.
soon. Of course. Thanks for joining us, guys.